Hello, cadets. Good morning. Let's continue with the discussion of the question paper. Now it's a B section and only literature section of 24 marks is remaining. We are discussing the subjective questions. We already seen in the case of writing skills, which is for 16 marks and 24 marks for literature. You already know that there are only two sections. A section, which comprises 40 marks. So A section has only MCQs and the weightage is 40 marks. B section consisting of writing skills and literature is for 40 marks and all the questions are subjective. Now we are here at the literature section. The weightage for literature section as well as subjective type of questions are concerned are 24 marks. So 20 marks for objective questions and 24 marks for subjective questions. So let's go to the question number 10. Attempt any 5 out of the 6 questions given below in 30 to 40 words each. So there are going to be 6 questions, each question carrying weightage of 2 marks. And you have to attempt 5 questions and you have to answer these questions in 30 to 40 words. What does it mean? 30 to 40 words means you have to write the answer at least 6 to 8 sentences. So 30 to 40 words. So let's go to the first question. And what is the first question? What does Neruda mean by an exotic moment without rush in his poem Keeping Quiet? Remember, all these questions are on the main course book Flamingo. Question number 10, all the questions that will appear from the book Flamingo. And here 1 mark is for content and 1 mark is for expression. And the first question is dealing with the poem Keeping Quiet. So when he talks about exotic moment, what does it mean by that? Exotic moment, very unusual moment, totally different moment, without rush. So there is a silence. Without rush, there is a silence. That silence that will bring in what? Introspection. And this exotic moment will be a moment which will take us to world peace, universal brotherhood. We'll understand what we have been doing, the kind of exploitation we have been doing. The world at war, they will understand the futility of war. So what does Neruda mean by an exotic moment without rush in his poem Keeping Quiet? So it's about that unusual moment. Let's go to the second question. Explain the metaphor of the rat trap in context of the story by Selma Lagerlöf. Selma Lagerlöf, she is the writer of this story Rat Trap. Now here the metaphor of the rat trap, what does it highlight? So you have to explain about this metaphor, the symbol of the rat trap. So here the character has got trapped, and who is that character? He's a rat trap sailor. He feels that the world is a rat trap. And you get into the trap because of the temptations, because of your greed, because of your avarice. So metaphor here, the rat trap, how it is symbolical, how it is used metaphorically. You have to explain about that. Third question. Kamla Das speaks of an old familiar ache. What is that old familiar ache? Old familiar ache of separation. An old familiar ache of separation. And here that separation, loss of her. Loss of mother or law and separation. Separation or loss of mother. So here she suddenly feels, if my mother dies. What do you think is the reason for this feeling? So suddenly why that kind of realization? Why that realization? What is the reason for this feeling? Because mother is aging. Pale face, whatever she sees. The paleness on her face. Question number 4. Comment on the significance of the villagers sitting at the back in Yum Hamel's classroom. So this is from the lesson, the last class, the last lesson. Yes, so this will take up in the revision, the last lesson. Comment on the significance. So we'll start with the last lesson. We'll take up some of these lessons and then we'll discuss whatever is important here that has appeared in this when we take up the revision, the writing skills also. So first we'll start with the last lesson and then we'll take up slowly one by one so that you can prepare well, you can do well in the board examination. So comment on the significance of the villagers sitting at the back in Yum Hamel's classroom. So here, why they are there in the classroom? They wanted to pay tribute to their teacher. It was a mark of respect for their country. It was a mark of respect for their language. And probably they were feeling repentant also for not attending the classes very sincerely with their children. Now question number 5. Little has moved with time, it seems, in Firozabad. State any one reason why the writer say this. So little has moved with time. What does it mean? With passage of time, hardly any progress or development has taken place. There's still poverty, illiteracy, dissatisfaction existing there, prevailing there among those people. Question number 6. How does the poet use the image of fingers fluttering through the wool to highlight Aunt Jennifer's victimization? Now this is from the poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigress. So here Aunt Jennifer's victimization, how she has become victim. So here the image of fingers fluttering through the wool. Fingers are fluttering. She has become so weak. She has been burdened by the weight of marriage. She has been heavily burdened to that extent that she has become very woman. And this task of embroidery, she is finding it very, very difficult. So it's an oppressed or exploited state of women. That is what is highlighted by this image of fingers fluttering to the wool. So now we'll move on to the questions, but in the case of question number 10, you have to attempt 5 questions out of 6, whereas in the question number 11, you have to attempt 2 questions out of the 3 questions. And remember, question number 11 is dealing with vistas. So here you have to attempt 2 questions carrying 2 marks. And one is for content and one for expression. And these questions are based now So let's discuss the first question, which is on vistas. In his letter to Charlie, Sam writes, "Then I got to believing you were right. What could have made Sam begin to believe?" Now here Sam had not believed that Charlie when he mentioned the third level at the Grand Central. He thought that he was really facing psychological problem. So at first he didn't believe. What could have made Sam begin to believe? So probably Sam liked the description of 1894, the kind of life people had, the way people lived. So the description of 1894 probably Sam liked very much. And then Sam must have gone in search of that and probably must have come across the third level. Now let's go to the second question. It was important that the recaptured Evans keep up the facade till the very last moment of his interaction with the governor. So the facial expression he doesn't change. Support this statement with a rationale, as if he behaves as if he is caught and there is no escape for him and he has failed in his attempt. So he keeps up all that facade till the last minute. But what has happened? The police officer, police van driver, they were all accomplices. But he doesn't behave as if they were all his accomplices. And the governor believes that they were real ones. And he never wanted to take risk probably. So here it's a personal response question and you can write in your own words. You can write with your own ideas. So the rationale behind it. He never wanted to take risk now. And that is how he is able to escape. Now third question. Sadao's acceptance of the general's plan to assassinate Tom was counterproductive to having put him on the path of recovery. Substantiate with reasons. Now here Sadao's acceptance of the general's plan to assassinate. Remember here. Now Sadao, as a doctor, he wanted to perform his duty. So he had a sense of duty. He was very duty bound, dutiful to save somebody's life. But as a patriot, as a citizen, as a Japanese citizen, he should see that his enemy is killed. Now here Sadao's acceptance, Sadao has accepted the general's plan to assassinate was counterproductive to having put him on. So was counterproductive. So he is the one who has saved his life, but as a doctor he has saved his life. And it could have been counterproductive. It would have killed him. But here he is a patriot, he is a citizen, and that's why he had to accept his loyalty to the country, which was at a war with Tom's country, and therefore he had to accept them as a Japanese citizen, because ultimately the one whom he had saved, the one who had survived, was his enemy, was belonging to the enemy country. And that is the reason he had to accept that. So let's move on to the question number 12. Now here, first two questions we have seen. Question number 10 on main course book and question number 11 on Flamingo. Now question number 12. Now again, these two questions are for 5 marks. So here essay type questions. In the case of earlier two questions, they were for 2 marks each. Now here these questions are for 5 marks. So question number 12, you have to attempt any one. And here you have to write in 120 to 150 words. So there are going to be 2 questions. Question number 12 is going to be on Flamingo. Question number 13 is going to be on visitors. So let's take up question number 12. The story Deep Water talks about Douglas' attempts to overcome his fear of water. So what does this chapter deal with? Douglas, how he had fear of water and how he overcame his fear of water. These two questions are very important. So he talks about his attempts to overcome his fear of water. The story can also be viewed as a figurative manifestation of life's many challenges, elaborate with a reference to the text. So it is not merely dealing with that fear of water, but this can be a figurative manifestation when you are facing many challenges of life. So here Douglas, he was determined to face fear and he was determined to overcome that. So there are now how that fear has born and how that fear he has overcome, how he decided his determination and his readiness to face those challenges. Yes, that will definitely help us to overcome any kind of challenges. The struggle and the journey that he has undertaken, the steps, the measures to face all that he has taken up, that will be applicable when you are facing many of the challenges of life. So you can write in your own verse with your own ideas. You can write that. Let's go to the question number B. How does the story Rat Trap highlight the importance of community over isolation? Support your rationale with textual evidence. So you have to support your logic with the evidence from the textbook. So how does the story Rat Trap highlight the importance of community? So we are social beings. And here is a rat trap seller, peddler, who is isolated, who is all alone. And when he feels that there are so many who can shower long affection, then his attitude towards society changes. So the rat trap seller undergoes change in his personality as he experiences the shift from isolation to community. So when he's become part of the family of Iron Master. So rat trap seller was a divide of family and friends, and that is the reason why he was becoming antisocial element. And at the beginning he is depicted as a loner, totally isolated, thinking about the society, all negative things, as if it's all a trap. And there are so many examples that depict his engagement with community hospitality with the old man, the Christmas episode, his experience of friendship leading to a change in his persona. So the kind of change that comes when he becomes the part of the society, when he starts interacting with other people and he sees goodness in them, there's a great change that comes in him. So let's move on to the question number 13. Attempt any one out of the following questions in 120 to 150 words. So these questions are around vistas. So question number 12, flamingo, and question number 13, you'll find the questions on vistas. So let's go to the first question. Mr. Lamb calls Derek his friend while Derek refuses his affirmation. Would you consider their relationship with each other as friendship? So support your answer with a reference to the instances from the text. So this story is very important. This is a play. That's why it's very, very important. And here we can see Mr. Lamb's positivity compared with the negativity of Derek, and Mr. Lamb's attitude towards life, his optimism, maturity. So you can explain about all that in detail. Then Derek was afraid to have friendship because the kind of personality he had, and he believed that people will ill-treat him. But there's a great change that comes in him when he goes to Mr. Lamb's garden and when he interacts with him and he overcomes his own challenges and starts accepting a friendship with Mr. Lamb, and there's a great change that comes in and he becomes totally a different being. Let's go to the last question here. With respect to the events in the story, should wizard hit mummy? Who would you support, wizard or mummy? Justify your choice. So here, Joe, she was supporting whom? She was supporting. Now, what Joe wanted actually? Joe wanted the wizard to hit mummy. So Joe was supporting wizard, whereas Jack wanted mummy to hit wizard. So Jack was supporting mummy. Probably when he was supporting mummy, he was remembering his own mother. So here, that's why he supports his mother's stand. So here, the conservative viewpoint that we can see. So one that is very much conventional, the one, another one which is very much individualistic. So the child thinking about probably the peers, friends, the world of the children. Well, read all the lessons thoroughly. The questions can come from any way. You have to be very analytical when you are answering these questions. I just discussed these questions so that you'll be able to think analytically when you are reading those stories. You read the stories for enjoyment, but afterwards you analyze the stories because when you are writing in the examination, you have to write analytical answers for these questions. Thank you. So from the next session onwards, we'll start the revision. Thank you. Goodbye.